Did you not hear it? The wind crying over the broken hills, as if the earth itself remembers battles long past? Come, friend, the night deepens, and the fire is warm. Sit you here beside me, and I shall speak of the lone lands, as only one who has walked them might. I am Cerfindol, of the house of Elrond half-elven, a sentinel of the eastern marches of Imladris. My days are long and my memory longer, and there are few corners of Eriador I have not trod. Yet of all the wild and weary places I have seen, none linger in the heart so quietly and so hauntingly as the Ered Tur, the lone lands. They are not marked on many maps with any certainty. Those lands east of Bree and west of the Horwell, the Maithithel. Mortal tongues name them sparsely. Lone lands, as if that could capture their ancient silence. But to elves, even silence has a name, and I have learned to listen well. Imagine it, a vast stretch of heath and hill, brown and grey beneath a heavy sky, where the wind is ever restless and the stones are seldom still. The land there has a weight to it, not merely of earth, but of memory. You feel it in your bones if you are wise, and in your dreams if you are not. East of Bree, beyond the rolling Barrow Downs, the world begins to stretch itself thinner. Trees grow sparse, and the green fields yield to dry grass and stone. The great East Road winds through it still, a scar of the old kingdom, though it is cracked and half buried in dust. Once this land thrummed with life, with the might of Arnor, the northern realm of Elendil himself. Here stood proud settlements, wayforts, and watchtowers that linked Anuminas to Amon Sul and beyond. Here marched kings and captains, their banners bright beneath the sun. But now it is a land of ruin, wind, and memory. It is hard to imagine it now, sitting as we are by the fire. But I tell you true, there was a time when these hills bore witness to the great dramas of Middle-earth. Amon Sul, called Weathertop in the tongue of the Bree folk, was the seat of the greatest tower of the northern kings, and within it was kept one of the Palantiri, those seeing stones that could pierce time and space. I myself climbed its winding stair long ago, before its fall, and stood where Elendil had stood. The air tasted of power and purpose. But that was before the kingdom broke. When Elendil fell in the south, and Isildur perished in the Gladden fields, Arnor was left rudderless. The line of kings endured, but the realm splintered into three: Arthedain, Cardolan, and Rudor. The division weakened them. Rudor turned to darkness, and its lords became little more than thralls to Angmar, the dread realm raised by the Witch King in the far north. Yes, Angmar. Do not speak its name lightly. It was no mere kingdom of men. It was a work of malice, forged by the Witch King himself, who served Sauron though the Dark Lord had not yet returned openly to the world. He warred against the remnants of the Dunedain in Arnor, and the lone lands became a battlefield of slow ruin. I remember those days, for I was there. Elves are long-lived, and we do not forget. I fought beside the sons of Elrond, Eladan, and Elrohir, whose grief still haunts them. We rode with Arvelec, son of Argaleb, when he held Amon Sul against the encroaching forces of Angmar. They came like a black tide, hill trolls, orcs, and worse things bred in the shadows of Carn Dûm. The tower was cast down, and Arveleg fell with many of his kin. The Palantir was lost, though we know not where. Some say it was taken, others that it lies buried still beneath the stones. From that day on, the lone lands were never whole again. Cardolan succumbed to plague. Yes, plague, not by nature's hand, but by poison and sorcery. The barrows you pass near the South Downs were once noble tombs of great men, now twisted into lairs of dread by the white sent by Angmar's necromancers. And Rudor, it became little more than a shell, a haunt for goblins, and worse. The last union of the free peoples in the north came when Arthedain stood alone, and the elves of Lindon, the warriors of Imladris, and the remnants of Cardolan rose together to push back the shadow. It was not enough. The kingdom was overrun, and even the northern capital of Fornost fell. We fought with Glorfindel at the Battle of Fornost, and it was there that the Witch King at last was driven from these lands, his shape vanishing like smoke upon the wind. In fact, it was Glorfindel himself who said, "Far off yet is his doom, and not by the hand of man shall he fall." Now, thankfully, we know that to be true. But the price had already been paid. Arnor was no more, and the lone lands became a place of broken stones and faded songs. Yet not all was lost. The Dunedain endured, dwindled though they were. They became the Rangers, cloaked in shadow, protecting lands that barely remembered their names. They patrol even now, unseen but vigilant. I have walked with them, shared their fire, their silence, their watchfulness. They are heirs to kingship in exile, and there is nobility in their endurance. But the land itself is a remnant of dark days and unspoken crimes, and yet, even in desolation, there is beauty. The lone lands bloom for a few short weeks each spring, when the heather catches fire in the golden sun. The sky, vast and pale, turns red in the evening, and the stars shine sharp above the silent hills. No noise but the wind and the call of hunting owls. Weathertop is but the highest of the Weather Hills, a ridge of jagged uplands running north to south. These hills were once dotted with outposts, built to keep watch over the lands of Rudor and the east. Here the rangers still move in secret. They have caches in the roots of old hawthorn trees, where dried meat and messages may be left. The hills are treacherous, easy to lose one's way, and full of places where shadows linger longer than they should. East of Weathertop lies Ostguruth, the fort of dread in the tongue of the north. But it was not always so. The ruins belonged to the men of Rudor, one of the three sundered realms of old Arnor. Once a stronghold, now it is a broken city, its stones scattered and its towers half swallowed by earth. Finally, to the far east of the Lone Lands stands the last bridge, Iant Method in Sindarin, spanning the river Mithithel. It marks the border between the Lone Lands and the Troll Shores, and beyond them, the hidden vale of Imladris. It was built by the kings of Arnor, and though much has fallen, its core endures. The bridge still stands, tall, grey, proud, though the land around it is no longer patrolled. It was here that Glorfindel once rode to meet Frodo, pursued by the Nazgul, and his light drove back the shadows. I know that tale well. I was in Imladris when he returned, weary and shining like a star. So friend, if ever your path leads you east of Bree, remember this. The Lone Lands may seem empty, but they are filled with memory. Beneath every crumbled wall, every moss-stained stone, lie tales of heroism, sorrow, betrayal, and hope. So tread lightly and with respect. Now, the fire dwindles and the stars brighten. You have listened well, and I hope you have learned something new to guide you on the path ahead. Be sure to drink deeply from your cup and rest easy tonight, for you have sat in the presence of one who remembers more than they care to tell. The tales of the Lone Lands live still in the hearts of the wise, and are not forgotten easily. Tomorrow, perhaps, I shall tell you of the troll shores, or the hidden paths to Imladris. But for now, sleep, and let the land keep its silence once more.